Welcome to Watch Review Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me, it's Andrew Meadows.
Colton Brown, we get to talk about a really cool movie this afternoon.
One it's one that's a bit violent, a bit brutal, and pretty exciting. We're talking about John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum.
Yeah, man. It's pretty cool. Long awaited.
Yeah.
Third film.
Actually, I agree. Definitely a third film in the franchise, but long awaited. I don't know. It really wasn't that much of a gap between 2 and 3. I think it was maybe it was 3 years. Might have been 3 years. I'm not sure. But John Wick franchise kind of came out of nowhere and continues to take the world by force. I'm here for it. I'll tell you that right now. Right at the top, I'm spoiling how I feel about the franchise, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to get into it in full detail in just a little while. Let's talk about Game of Thrones very briefly yet again. For everyone at home, we're still slowly but surely working our way through the series. Of course, as we talked about on the Pikachu episode, the series is over. And I think we made thinly veiled references to it about 300 times in that episode. I expect something similar might happen on this episode. We'll see how it goes. I think the wound is a little less fresh than it was when we recorded that episode, so maybe that will help. But I just wanted to give everyone just a quick update on what we're doing with that, just so everyone's on the same page. Season 5 episode should be up on the regular feed, so hopefully everyone has had a chance to listen to that. If not, check that out. Very cool. We're going to be recording on Season 6 very soon, and that'll be up on Patreon for a brief window until we can get it up on the regular feed. And Seasons 7 and 8 will follow suit very shortly. So we'll be through the Game of Thrones project hopefully in the next, few weeks, generously speaking. So that's what's going on that front. Look forward to our coverage of it. Even if you didn't like the final season, I think you're going to want to hear our thoughts on it. I think we're going to have many thoughts on it, and I think it'll make for at least a worthwhile episode to listen to. Maybe it'll be cathartic to listen to it, or maybe you'll vehemently disagree with everything that we say. It's all
if that's
good.
the case,
it's all well and
send us
good.
an email. Let's hear about it.
So anyway, it's on the horizon. It's coming soon, as soon as practicable, really. So John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, bit of a mouthful of a title, but it has a certain Latin word in it, doesn't it?
It does, which is a healthy segue to my fun fact for this movie. Let me see if I still have my fun fact up, and I don't have my fun fact still up.
You son of a bitch. What have you done? You're the most unprofessional motherfucker in the room, aren't you?
I had it, but I have news tabs open.
That's okay. I forgive you. I think the listeners might not, but I forgive you, because I am a generous kindred spirit.
Right. Well, the first... I didn't know this. This is an interesting fun fact.
Do you have an impromptu fun fact? A separate fun fact?
Impromptu fun fact, yes.
All right, I like it.
Parabellum is a type of semi-automatic pistol or machine gun, and it's also a type of round used in German weapons. It's a 9x19 millimeter Parabellum. It's a round, which is cool too.
Well, that seems like it's
for their Luger semi-automatic pistol, which is pretty neat. But my first fun fact, is that Parabellum is Latin for it's derived from the Latin phrase "civi pacem parabellum," which means if you want peace, prepare for war. I probably butchered the pronunciation.
That's okay.
Civi pacem parabellum. It's a little French.
See, my initial inclination when I saw the phrase was like, oh, it looks like it should be pronounced like it was French, but I think Latin has a very more pronounced pronunciation. So I think it's. I'm not an expert on Latin by any stretch of the imagination, but I believe it's "civis pacem parabellum."
Civis pacem parabellum.
So you're getting the S and the V's. So it's
civis pacem parabellum.
Yeah, it's a little bit more rougher on the tongue than it looks. Like it looks like it should just like roll off your tongue like very very smoothly, very nicely. Sivi pacem. Like, no,
Sivi pacem Parabellum. No, it's more Arnoldish.
It's too clean. It's too clean. Yeah, gotta throw a little Austrian touch in there. So yes, if you want peace, prepare for a war. Certainly an appropriate title to be included into the John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum title, because one could say that Mr. Wick is indeed preparing for a war. So we'll talk about John Wick in just a little while. I have a fun fact of sorts, if you want to hear it. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
It's up to you. It's up to you. It has nothing to do with John Wick or Chapter 3 or Parabellum or Latin.
Totally
or
unrelated
like
fact.
that.
Okay.
Totally unrelated. In fact, I guess it's technically speaking of fact. It's maybe fun. You may disagree, but I received a phone call this evening from one James Bailey of the Ink to Film podcast.
Oh wow!
And
okay.
he relayed to me a little anecdote, which I thought that you might get a kick out of. So apparently there was someone that I guess was staying at a certain hotel chain that his girlfriend works at, and I think knew his girlfriend and said something about the Ink to Film podcast to her, and then he said something along the lines of, what the podcast I really enjoy though is the Watch Review Repeat podcast.
No shit.
And so James felt inspired to tell me about it, and I was just like, oh fuck, that's awesome. So shout out to listener of the podcast, Javier Estrada. That's very cool
Javier.
of you, sir. We appreciate your support, and hopefully you're listening to this. Hopefully you saw John Wick and you're able to hear us shouting you out on the podcast, because that's fucking
pretty
awesome.
Fucking cool. Yeah.
That's fucking cool. That's exactly right. So, I said it feels good. I know we don't have the most expansive listener base, although I will say we've had a recent uptick in numbers, I have noticed, which I think is also pretty fucking cool. So anyone that supports this show, anyone that listens to this show is fucking awesome, and I think in my book, and probably in Andrew's book as well. So
absolutely, it's real cool.
Yeah, so I was really taken with that. I was like, that's cool. It's just we're just two idiots clowning around, drinking some beers, talking about movies, having a good old time. But sounds like maybe some people are having a good old time with us, and that's literally what we are trying to accomplish, is just having some fun and letting people in on that fun with us. So that's what I have for you on the fun fact side of things.
That is the funnest of fact, sir. You win
pretty
the fun
cool.
fact.
Like I said, I there's no way I could really spend that into John Wick, but I felt that was worth mentioning. So let's get into some news for this episode. Still playing catch up on the news front, although we're getting into a little bit more recent territory. So, do you want to talk about the Batman? Right at the top, I'm gonna get some good stuff.
It's pretty.
going.
It's pretty good news. It's
pretty interesting, pretty meaty,
shit. Yeah.
pretty exciting, or depressing, depending on your perspective, I suppose.
It's pretty sparkly.
It is sparkly, yeah. Very.
That's pretty lame. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I got what you're going for. Listeners don't know yet because we haven't said what the news is, but so there's somewhat conflicting reports on this. Variety was the first trade to break the article, or to break the story, that is, and as of their initial report, they said that Robert Pattinson is set to play the Batman.
That's pretty definitive.
And the upcoming Matt Reeves DC movie hitting theaters June 25th, 2021. Then they somewhat backtracked a bit and said it's not a done deal, but he's the top choice, and he's expected to close the deal shortly. As of recording this, which has been several days, probably about a week or so at least, since that article broke, we have had no further confirmation of his involvement. And I think he was at like Cannes or something like that, or some festival, something like that, and people were like, "So the Batman? Are you the Batman?" And he's kind of just like, "I can't talk about it." So it sounds like it's a thing that's probably going to happen. Probably contractual things that are holding it up. I'm sure he wants some big bucks to play Batman and such. So, what the Hollywood Reporter is saying is that Pattinson is indeed the front runner to play it, but they also put out a short list of other actors that are potentially, I guess, in talks for the role. Maybe if the Pattinson thing falls through, then these guys are the next one up on the docket. I don't know. But the other three names that have been thrown around in connection with the Batman are Armie Hammer, who himself was once upon a time cast to play the Batman in Justice League Mortal, which would have been directed by Mad Max's George Miller. Would have been fucking bonkers. But so that's one name. Another name is Nicholas Hoult, who was in Tolkien. He was Tolkien in that. He's Beast in the X-Men franchise. Had a great scene-stealing part in The Favorite last year. Yeah. And then the last name on the list is Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is no stranger to superhero films, having played both Kick-Ass and Quicksilver in the MCU.
Okay.
So those are the names on the list. So I want to know what you think. I mean, of those four, who would you go with? Bearing in mind, of course, maybe it's just a formality that Robert Pattinson will sign on the dotted line. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. But if you had your pick of the lot, who would you go with of those four?
I think
just gut reaction.
I like Armie Hammer. I think he's pretty cool.
He's a big fucker. I think is a thing. I think he's like 6'5".
Yeah,
and I could see him being I think he'd be a great Batman.
Yeah,
I'm actually with you there. I think.
Man from Uncle, he was in that, right?
He was. That's right, with Superman.
Yeah,
or maybe not Superman. I guess it depends on who you ask or what he's doing. As I recall, a certain face did not show up in a certain recent DC movie. So who knows what's the status with Henry Cavill these days?
Right,
might be hanging out with Ben Affleck pretty soon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think
so. Armie Hammer is your. Yeah,
okay. My initial reaction to Pattinson is the only movie I've seen him in is
right. You get the Twilight connection, and I think that's
not a good connection.
That's a pretty big stink to have on your resume. Obviously, I think he's very much distanced himself from that. He's been in a lot of indie stuff in the years since the Twilight franchise has concluded. And I think critics have really, really liked his performances and pretty much everything outside of Twilight, which there was no saving those movies, It was pretty clear that both he and Kristen Stewart were not the biggest fans of the source material, but hey, paycheck's a paycheck, and obviously it vaulted them into stardom, gave them the opportunity. Maybe in the case of actually in the case of both of them, they've done a lot of just kind of weird off-kilter stuff, and as an actor, you can't get away with that all the time. And so I think, the fact that they can just look back on, Twilight franchise and say, hey, whatever, it sucked. Maybe you really liked it. Who cares? We made money from it. It gave us an opportunity to do the things that we really wanted to do. And now we have those opportunities. And I don't know, maybe Robert Pattinson's going right back to the big franchise type movie. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. For my money, I would be happy with Robert Pattinson. It's a bit shallow of me, but I think you got to have the right jawline to play the Batman. I really do. And I think Robert Pattinson has the right fucking jaw to play Batman. I think Armie Hammer would have an excellent jaw for the Batman. I don't see it. I see it less with Nicholas Hoult for sure. I don't get a Bruce Wayne Batman sense from him. I think he's a talented actor, but when I look at him, there's nothing about him that tells me that guy is the Batman. I just don't get that sense from him. Aaron Taylor Johnson, a little bit more, but I don't. I find myself rarely impressed with his acting prowess. I think he's been fine in a lot of things, but I've never just been blown away. Maybe he just hasn't been in the right movie, right source material, etc. I'm not sure, but Armie Hammer, I think, definitely would have the chops, definitely the physical prowess to pull it off, and it would be, a good full circle moment with the Justice League Mortal connection, which I think would be kind of cool. So, those would be my two picks. I'm expecting Pattinson to get it, and I'm happy with that. And as is the case with pretty much every superhero casting ever, people fucking throw a hissy fit right out the gate, and then they look like a dumbass, and they usually look like a dumbass in a couple of years' time. You know what I mean? think back to Ben Affleck, who, in spite of being in a dog shit film, I think was a pretty legitimately good Batman.
Screen Rant. I just googled Robert Pattinson. I wanted to find out how tall he was.
What do we got? What's the stats?
He's 6'1".
That's a solid Batman height. I think that's definitely a good height.
But then they do the top stories up at the top whenever you Google stuff. Okay. And Screen Rant 9 hours ago says 10 reasons why we hope Robert Pattinson will be Terry McGinnis from Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I don't want that, but I think a Batman Beyond thing would be cool. But like, I just why would you do that now? Like it's clear. I just doesn't make any sense. I don't think story wise.
Here's the question: Does any of it make sense? Does any of the DC stuff make sense?
I suppose not, but I mean,
I do see what you're saying, though. I do see what you're saying.
I think it's clear that like Disney has screwed the pooch so many times that like maybe they shouldn't think about like plotting out the 10 years and just like let's just get the one movie right and then we'll make a sequel after that, assuming that one is worthwhile and demands a sequel and such. But I think getting a younger Batman, I think, would have made the most sense in the first place. I don't know why they went for a veteran Batman for 20 years. You know, with I don't know why they approached the source material the way they did with Batman, but these are also the dumb fucks that killed Superman in his second appearance ever in their own universe. So it's clear that their judgment was flawed, or a certain person's judgment was flawed. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Zack Snyder, you piece of shit. You ever even made a movie? So you know, I hear you. I hear your point. I get it.
I'm not saying that
I would be fine with it. I would be fine with it. I don't see it going that direction. I don't think it needs to go that direction. I think he could absolutely pull off Bruce Wayne, a younger Bruce Wayne. I mean, the continuity is all sorts of jacked up. I don't know what they're doing with that. Clearly, they're just going to have to jettison a section of the storyline, like BVS, Justice League. Throw it out the window. Like, keep Gal Gadot around, keep Momoa around as Aqua Bro. It's weird. It's not quite cohesive, but just make fucking good movies. You know, like that's really what it comes down to at this point. Like, DC, stop handcuffing yourself, make something worthwhile. And if that means Robert Pattinson playing Batman, I mean, I trust Matt Reeves. Dude crushed it with the Apes movies. The last two Apes movies were great. Even the Let the Right One In remake was really good. You know, and remakes are notoriously hard to pull off, let alone a fucking horror remake of sorts. So the rumor mill suggests on also on the Batman front that there's going to be two villains. At least two villains, possibly more, possibly an entire rogues gallery. But we're hearing that this is per the Hollywood Reporter. We're hearing that the Penguin will be at least one of the villains. Danny DeVito, and we're hearing that. It's funny you say that because we're also hearing that Catwoman will be another villain. So we're going full Batman Returns, baby. In which case, hell yes, bring DeVito back. You guys thought we weren't going to bring the DeVito conversation back? Thought we got it out of our systems with Pikachu? You were fucking wrong. You were dead wrong. We're all in on DeVito, and if he's not going to be the Penguin, he better be the fucking Wolverine. I was about to bring that up. Yeah, that petition. That's hilarious. Fucking DeVito. He's so good. So anyway, that's what I got on the Batman front. So
I got something on James Bond front, man. Bond 25.
Bond 25, yes, it's an excellent title for the film. I hope they keep it as Bond 25.
And my news is Daniel Craig is no Tom Cruise.
Yes.
He's no Tom Cruise. He's running sprinting.
Well, I mean, he pulled a Tom Cruise in a way. We just don't know if he's going to quite handle it in the way that Tom Cruise did. Why don't you fill in the details for
I don't think
fine folks at home.
So Daniel Craig's running in Jamaica. He's sprinting, and he fell and twisted his ankle. So they flew him out to the U.S. to get some X-rays on his ankle, and that's what we got. It's suspended production of the movie until further notice, and that's that. But I say that he's no Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise broke his ankle during a stunt that and he landed it and he finished the scene. This makes it sound like Daniel Craig slipped on a Jamaican banana or something and fell.
Well, notoriously in Jamaica, there's a lot of banana peels just lying around, so it's a real Looney Tunes type situation down there.
Anyways, yeah. So that's that. That's what we got.
Well, I'd say I'm looking at a source saying that he was shooting one of his final scenes in Jamaica, so there might be footage of this. Well, I mean, it also sounds like it says he just slipped and fell quite awkwardly. So I'm thinking that probably will not make it into the final cut, a la Tom Cruise and his crazy ass in Mission Impossible, where he just fucking continues the stunt after he breaks his ankle and shit.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Tom Cruise is a professional.
He's the most professional motherfucker there ever was. It's the power of Xenu.
That's it.
It was
Unlimited
channeled into his
power.
ankle to finish the stunt. Exactly. That's right. So yeah. It doesn't sound like they're planning on delaying the film in terms of the release date. They are suspending production / have suspended production on it for the time being to allow for Daniel Craig to take care of his little boo boo. And it's, I mean, probably
It happens. Shit happens.
You say he probably fucked his ankle up pretty good, in all honesty. So that would suck. It's probably pretty hard to run when you have a busted.
He's
ankle,
definitely not going to play Bond 26. So he's going to be. I'm done with this.
He's
shit.
like, I didn't even want to come back for this shit. The fuck, man. Fuck. Yeah. What's going to happen is he's just going to be sitting for the rest of the film. There's a certain point where it's a very action heavy film, and then maybe 60% of the way in, he's just sitting in a chair. He's always sitting in his chair, and he's just like, do you think Bond's going to get up at this? Is he gonna when's the big action sequence coming? And it just never comes. He's just sitting in the chair the whole time.
he turns into that Bond villain with the cat. That's what it is.
Right.
It goes full circle. You live long enough to. What's the Batman's?
Yeah. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That's right.
It. He becomes the villain.
That's right. We just wrote Bond 25 for you guys. We'll collect our paycheck on the back end. Thank you very much. Well, actually, what we'll do is we'll collect a percentage of the box office profits. I've found that that's a pretty viable strategy. So
yeah,
so that's what we'll do.
Small percent. We'll settle for what, 1?
Yeah, we're not greedy. We're not greedy.
1%.
Yeah.
0.5%.
Maybe
Fine.
2.
I take.
We'll do 4%. We'll split it amongst ourselves. Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
There we go.
That'll be pretty solid.
Moving on.
Solid. Moving on. You want more Batman-ish news?
Yeah.
I'm on a hot streak. Well, I'm not talking about Batman, but I'm talking about Batwoman.
Ooh, of the CW variety.
See what I did there? That's
did.
right. Yes, Batwoman of the CW variety has received a first look trailer for her upcoming solo series coming to the CW this fall. Your favorite network. I know you're greatly looking forward to this project. I assume you watched this?
Totally. I totally watched it.
Yeah, so it's Batwoman. She's a woman. In case you forgot, the trailer likes to remind you of that fact. I'm not. I mean, I know. I mean,
tread lightly, my friend.
Well, so, in terms of the CW stuff, obviously I'm well behind. I think you're officially done at this point. I like to delude myself into thinking I'll try to go back at some point. At this point, it's unlikely. I'm accepting the reality that it's becoming more and more unlikely. But I liked this trailer for about 40 seconds. and then it took a turn. I was just
it was a CWism.
Yeah, as soon as I think the music kicked in, I was just like, okay, all right, I see, okay. But I mean, you like Ruby Rose, right? I feel like I'm not making that up.
I do like Ruby Rose.
Is that enough to compel you to watch a show like this?
No.
What about Dougray? Dougray Scott.
I do like Dougray Scott. He is our favorite villain from Mission Impossible 2.
That's right. Yeah, Mr. Sean Ambrose from Mission Impossible 2. So as soon as he popped up in this trailer, the immediate thought that I had was him catching. The zoom's excellent, but the first thought I had was him catching the fucking scarf in slow motion and then wrapping it around Tandy Newton and just pulling her in, man, like a fucking boss. And so I actually paused the trailer and I was just like, I want to watch that scene instead. And then I pulled that scene up and It was every bit as incredible as I thought it was.
That's it. Oh man, yeah. He's pretty great. But even he does not compel me to dig into
it looks like a CW project. No better, no worse than anything we've seen from the channel, and so I think you know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah, it's it's funny they put the producers from boom, 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 and they throw all the fucking things in there. It's like, yeah, okay, nails in those are literal nails in the coffin for me. I'm done. I will not be.
And I think this is. I mean, they introduced Batwoman on the last crossover they did, which I haven't seen again. And I think people seem to like that fairly well. So, I mean, it makes sense that they would give her own show. It's cool. I mean, I think it's cool to see a Batwoman show. I think the character itself is actually really great in the comics. So I think that there's no reason the show has to be bad. It just looks, in terms of feel, style, and everything. It's definitively CW, and if it's early season CW, like usually the shows within their first couple seasons are actually pretty solid. So maybe as a virtue of that, it could be worthwhile. But I know you're not watching it. I may give it a look for a few episodes. We'll see kind of by the time it rolls around later this fall. But it's I'm sure there's an audience for it. I'm willing to give it a shot if I have time. Otherwise, it's kind of whatever. It's fine, but cool. It's cool that they're making it. I will say that. I'll
tell you what I will be watching.
I have no issues with them making it. So, what you got?
I'm gonna tell you what I will be watching.
Oh.
And that's Westworld Season 3, or Westworld 3, as it's titled.
Oh, I thought it was Sonic the Hedgehog. You're not watching Sonic the Hedgehog?
No, I'll definitely watch some Sonic the Hedgehog, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
all right, looking forward to that.
I'll be watching a lot of Westworld 3.
Westworld 3, yeah. This I'm surprised they put this out. Like, I think they put it out the same day as the Game of Thrones finale. Like, maybe they knew. Like, we gotta cover up the evidence real quick.
All sorts of people were watching it. Yeah. But this has Jesse Pinkman in it.
That's right, Jesse Pinkman plus Westworld. Sort of. I mean, it's really interesting because it doesn't feel like anything that we've seen from Westworld in terms of what they're showing. Like, they are very much leaning into the world part of it as opposed to the West part of it, which makes sense given season 2. But like, they're going full tilt with it. I mean, I assume there's still a component to the show that somewhat ties into kind of how it was presented in the first season, but it really feels like they're, at least with the way they're marketing it, I mean, it looks like a different fucking show entirely,
Just pretty neat. It's a neat direction that they're going.
I think it's cool. Like. Yeah, it seems to be a popular thing to shit on Westworld Season 2, which I didn't think was as good as Season 1.
I don't think it was bad.
I liked it pretty well. Pretty sure I put it in my top 5 for the year. I mean, I was a big fan of it. Yeah, you said it didn't quite hit the highs of Season 1, but I'm looking forward to this. Fucking what's Aaron Paul. I was trying to figure out what his actual name was. Aaron Paul. I like him, and I've liked him in pretty much everything I've seen, which has mostly just been Breaking Bad. But he was excellent in that, and I think he's a good addition to the cast.
Oh yeah, Jesse Pinkman's great.
Well, you got any other thoughts on Westworld 3? It sounds like you're in. Sounds like you're in on it. Very good, very good.
100% in.
Well, I was going to talk about Westworld 3, but some jackass decided to steal my thunder, so I'm going to steal your thunder, you fucker.
Ooh,
how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? Well, there's another show coming to HBO we could talk about. That's something we could talk about. I think.
Did totally steal your news. That's how hyped up I was about it.
That's quite all right.
I just saw that.
We usually divvy up the news before we start recording, and I thought for sure that you were going to snag it, and then you didn't, but then you did. So it's okay. It's okay. But like I said, we have another show coming to HBO by the name of His Dark Materials, an adaptation of the book series by the same name, which had been previously adapted into The Golden Compass back in the day, with Daniel Craig as a side note.
Yeah. Oh,
somewhat of a connection there.
It's part of the same thing?
That's right, yeah. So the Golden Compass is the first book in the series, which is what that movie was based off of. And so I think it's probably going to be the same thing. Like season 1 of this will be book 1, which is the Golden Compass. And I think they're trying to build it out into something that is actually successful, which the Golden Compass, the movie adaptation, was not. So pretty good cast lining up for this one. We got James McAvoy, Ruth Wilson, Daphne Keane, and Lin-Manuel Miranda. And I think I saw one Gior Mormont. I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head, but he's Gior Mormont. That's fine. So we got like a minute-long trailer for this. It's a BBC production that's being distributed in America by HBO, so it's not quote-unquote an HBO show in the vein of Game of Thrones and all those other shows that are on HBO. But I like the look of this. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I do like it. Looks super intriguing.
Yeah.
The cast is good. I really like the cast. And who was that? Who was the girl? She looks strangely familiar.
Ruth Wilson probably be
Logan.
I would the little girl.
Yeah, was that Logan? Girl?
Yeah. That's X-23 from Logan.
Yeah. Okay, that's what. Okay, great. Cast is stellar. And I don't know, the content looks cool. Like the premise. I actually don't know what the premise is, but
I've never read anything in the book series. I'm not familiar with it, other than having seen the Golden Compass back when it came out and kind of been like, okay. But this looks good. Yeah, I'm interested in it for sure. I think I'll give it a go. I'm ready to give it a go, I think. So I think I don't have a date in front of me. I'm not sure if there is a date, but I think it's supposed to debut later this year, probably towards the tail end of the year if I had to guess. But it's one definitely on my radar. So I think we're back to even now. A
show that you have not watched much of it is, I don't think you watched all of it at least, Black Mirror. We got some trailers for Black Mirror.
I was waiting for you to identify what it is. I had a suspicion of what it was, but you are correct. I have not watched, I guess probably now the majority of it. I think I watched through part of season 2. There's more on the way. What it seems anyway.
And there's only, it's going to be a really short, was it only 3 episodes?
I think it's 3, yeah. I don't know if, I assume they're probably just kind of regular-sized episodes. I don't think they're like... And they did like the Christmas special, I think, a while back that was a little bit longer. I think these are basically just kind of 3 episodes that are...
I find that excruciating. I would like much more Black Mirror.
You want more? You want more content?
Yeah.
Well, maybe Charlie Brooker only had a few, in the pipeline, and... you could have waited another 2 years and you would have had 6 at once, or you could wait a shorter amount of time and get 3. Maybe that's the compromise. I don't know.
It's like
it seems like it's. I mean, it hasn't been that long since season 4 came out, has it been? I mean, maybe
no. And plus, they did that whole game one.
That's right, Bandersnatch. Maybe that's why I'm thinking it hasn't been that long. They did the Bandersnatch thing.
Bandersnatch, which was definitely a unique experience. But
well, this is a little bit more traditional Black Mirror. So
I don't know. I think BBC follows similar season structures, don't they?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Usually a shorter episode count.
But super tight seasons.
Exactly. And that's usually the payoff is that obviously you want more, but at the same time you could run into the Netflix situation of 13 episodes where you just really wanted 6, or 7. So that's that. I guess it's a catch-22. But I took a look at the trailers for these ones. I mean, obviously Black Mirror episodes generally pretty self-contained. Really good casts overall, I thought. I know it was Andrew Scott from Sherlock's in one of them. Topher Grace action and his tiny little bladder. That joke doesn't make sense for most people. Side note, this was on the first iteration of the Avengers Endgame podcast, and we had some technical issues. We had to re-record bits of it. Henry's sister sat next to Topher Grace when she watched Avengers Endgame, and the man got up...
Hold on a second. Rewind what?
You must have been sleeping while this happened, I suppose. Yeah. So she's in New York, so celebrities are happen to be around in New York, and she just happened to sit next to Topher Grace during her Avengers showing, and
Holy shit!
And he just happened to get up 3 separate times during the movie to urinate.
What a cunt!
Something. So anyway, that explains that joke. Topher Grace and his tiny little bladder. It's going to be in Black Mirror. And then we got one with Miley Cyrus. She looked a little wonky. And then I think the best cast is in the last one. Anthony Mackie, Yahya Abdul-Mateen from
that one looks
Aquaman. Good. Yeah, so
all three of them look interesting in their own.
Yeah, very different, obviously. The Miley Cyrus one, the ending of the trailer was something.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I'm obviously not the person that should be on the record saying that much about Black Mirror, but it all looks intriguing. I really do. I really would like to sit down and just get through the episodes that I've been saying I'm going to watch for probably years now, and work through them. And maybe just a one at a time here and there.
That's it.
I've got an hour to kill. Even if I'm not going to spend the next week just binging Black Mirror, just throw one into the schedule here and there.
They're too heavy to fucking grind out.
Yeah, and I think so. I think that would be a good way to do it. Is just kind of parse them out and watch them when I find the time to do it. So yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm committing right now. I'm gonna do it. Maybe.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. So, what do you got? What do you think? Black Mirror sounds good. Sounds like you're pretty
absolutely.
excited.
I'm very excited.
Is there a date on this?
If there was, I didn't see it. It's
June
soon,
5th.
though, isn't it?
June 5th. Ooh, only a couple weeks away. How about that? Very exciting. Mucho exciting-o.
That's it.
I think so. Well, I have one last piece of news on my end. This is something that I'm extremely excited for.
What's that?
And it's a Disney Plus miniseries, a 6-part miniseries by the name of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's a pretty cool title.
So, as one might expect from a show called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it is a show about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, Anthony Mackie, who we just talked about, coming back as the Falcon. Sebastian Stan coming back as the Winter Soldier. And the news, this isn't news. We knew that this show was happening. We knew that it was already a thing. The news for this week, for this episode, why I'm bringing it up, is that there's a director on board by the name of Kari Skogland, who is going to be directing it. She's done a lot of TV work in the past with The Handmaid's Tale, some other things as well. She's done a lot of TV directorial credits. Penny Dreadful, Boardwalk Empire, Walking Dead,
okay.
Vikings, Americans, House of Cards, Punisher. So pretty strong TV resume, and we have some more details on who else is going to be joining the series, and we have 2 returning faces from the Marvel Cinematic Universe expected to come back for this, both of which thrill me. I will say that right now. So one of those people coming back is none other than Sharon Carter, as portrayed by Emily Van Camp. Now, obviously, she was kind of a forgotten character in terms of Avengers Endgame, in terms of where Cap's storyline went. Their romance was apparently not to be. But that's okay. She's still around. She's still kicking ass, perhaps.
Right.
And they may have a potential foe back from Captain America Civil War is Baron Zemo, as portrayed by Daniel Bruhl.
Very nice.
So that's fucking cool. Got some Zemo action. Maybe he'll put a purple sock on his face this time. We'll see.
Yeah.
And a sword. Bust out a fucking sword. Be badass and shit. So this sounds great. I mean, six episode miniseries. That's the kind of shit you kind of need. Like, yeah, like, nice, it's not tight. 94 episodes. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, this sounds like it's a fucking or I guess not even mini movie. It's a fucking extended movie, technically, right, with the runtime on it, presumably. So, like, that's badass. I very excited about this. The Disney Plus stuff I'm super excited about, because I know Kevin Feige's been on the record as saying, like, it's going to be a lot more connected to the broader MCU than we've ever seen with any of the TV stuff in the past, which, as much as I enjoy
really
Agents
cool.
of S.H.I.E.L.D., as much as I have enjoyed the Netflix stuff, to see big fucking names come on board with these projects, I think it's really exciting to see what MCU's, what Marvel Studios is doing, kind of plotting out their future. So, yeah, that's what I got. And you have one last piece of news, don't you?
I do. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Official trailer.
Rick fucking Dalton.
You're Rick fucking Dalton. Remember that. It's good. It's good.
It is good. Yeah. The ninth
Quentin
film
Tarantino
from
movie, man. Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino. Yes, and it's and it sure looks like a Quentin Tarantino film.
It does.
I would say.
And I'm
And
looking forward to it.
that excites me. I like that a lot. This looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah, as Tarantino movies usually are.
Yeah, but I like the subject matter of this one too. Like, I feel like Tarantino playing around with an old Hollywood setting is super fun, and obviously Leo and Brad Pitt. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Margot Robbie, of course, can't go wrong with that. Like it's all cool, I really just dig the vibe of this trailer. I mean, we can say it 100 times. It's a Tarantino film. Obviously, the man is known for his filmmaking style, but something about this setting for me just feels like it's a perfect fit for him. So I'm super, super excited to see this film. This is another one. It's like, July 26th. Like, it's a couple months away, I guess, but still, like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of good shit coming out pretty soon.
It's a pretty heavy year.
We got a lot of recording ahead of us. Don't get me wrong, but I'm excited to see these, and so yeah,
I'm excited too, man. Totally.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan looks pretty good. Not Jackie Chan, Jesus Christ. Bruce Lee looks pretty good.
Bruce Lee, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think we marveled over the uncanny Bruce Lee casting. I think when the first trailer came out, so they haven't emphasized it as much in this one, but still fucking on point. I'll tell you that. God, cast is great. Love it. Anyway, that's the news. I think that's the news, right? All of it? Yep. Checking all the boxes. That's the news. Well, let's get into our main content for this episode. What you've been waiting for, what you've been preparing for. You've been preparing for a war for however long now. You've been parabelluming. I think that's the correct way to use the Latin phrase. John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, was written by Derek Kolstad, Shay Hatton, Chris Collins, and Mark Abrams, directed by Chad Stahelski, who previously directed Chapter 2 and co-directed Chapter 1, I guess. It was just called John Wick, but it's Chapter 1. Stars Keanu Reeves, Halle Berry, Lawrence Fishburne, Mark Dacascos, Asia Kate Dillon, Lance Reddick, Angelica Houston, and Ian McShane. So in this movie, ex-hitman John Wick, Jonathan, finds himself on the run from a legion of assassins after a $14 million contract is put on his head. It's tough times.
Enough.
It's tough times for Mr. Wick. Yeah, they might want to up the bounty. Stock box office for this because John Wick took the box office. And shot it in the head a few times. It shot Avengers Endgame in the head a couple times, let's put it that way. Finally dethroned the king, the box office king, from its number one spot. It took it down from its perch. Ended up scoring a $56.8 million opening weekend, which was good for number one. Granted, Avengers is in its fourth weekend, but at the same time, it's a really, really good take for a very R-rated movie. As of recording, sits at $76.6 million total domestically. The debut was a franchise best. I think it actually either almost doubled or it actually went slightly over doubling the opening weekend take for Chapter 2. So it's really, really growing as a franchise, right. Which is cool. It's just cool. I think that's cool. Worldwide sits at $113.1 million. So I don't think these movies cost that much money to make. You know, when we had a budget discussion on Pikachu that kind of, went a little sideways. But $55 million budget is what I'm saying for this. That's for what it looks like. I actually think that's a pretty low budget.
Yeah, most of it's probably cast.
Yeah, pretty, effectively used. I think there's a lot of practical stunts, a lot of practical effects that go into it that are augmented with CG, on the back end. But that's a $55 million. Yeah, that's good. So I mean, it made, and domestically, basically made its budget back and its opening weekend. So I think it's gonna do pretty well for itself. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do our Weather Channel report on Avengers Endgame as well.
The hurricane.
The hurricane it's still here. So fourth weekend, like I said, it got bumped down from number 1, but it did all right for itself. Ended up at number 2 with just nose under $30 million in its fourth weekend, which brings it to $781.3 million domestically and $2 billion and $626 million in its worldwide take. So as of now, it now sits at number 2 all-time domestically. It has now passed Avatar, sits behind Star Wars The Force Awakens, and it will almost certainly remain there because it's got a long ways to go to catch up with that, and I just don't think it has the legs for it. And it's also at number 2 all-time worldwide behind Avatar, about $162 million behind Avatar. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It's going to be tough to overtake Avatar. It's not impossible.
James Cameron.
But it's going to be a lot tighter, I think, than people were kind of initially projecting with the way that it stormed out the gate. It was obviously front-loaded to a certain extent. I mean, when you make $300+ million in your opening weekend, there's just nowhere to go but down. But it's still making stupid money. Stupid money. Even if it doesn't make the stupidest money, it's still stupid money, So,
and they're all in Disney's pockets,
and it's all going to Disney pocket. Well, the John Wick stuff isn't, so there's that.
There is that.
One of the few projects not in some way related to Disney's productions, and not exactly a movie that you would associate with Disney. So maybe that's why. So John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. What'd you think, my friend?
I thought it was incredible. I will tell you, I did a double feature on Sunday, included in this movie, and there in the very beginning, it's gonna make me sound bad, but I had 2 big beers during Pikachu.
No Long Island iced teas.
No Long Island iced teas, no. But I did have 2 big beers, and I came back to John Wick, and those beers settled pretty good in on me. I got pretty comfortable. And
Jonathan,
my head was bobbing there in the very beginning, but then immediately it picked up, and it was just bonkers all the way through, which was awesome.
It's the kind of movie I think that will certainly wake you up in a theater type environment with proper sound, assuming so.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I saw it in standard theater. I didn't IMAX it or anything else.
Yeah, same here. I debated. It wasn't IMAX near me. It was in Dolby, but it just wasn't worth the trek logistically. Right. So it ended up doing a regular theater. But they were kind enough to turn the speakers up a good amount. So I felt like it approximated the effect. So
yeah,
I myself did a triple feature of sorts.
Lord have mercy.
Well, I watched John Wick, and I watched John Wick Chapter 2, and the night prior, and then I watched John Wick 3 right after that. So I was in full fucking John Wick mode. Yeah. When I walked into Parabellum. So there was no head bobbing for me. I was just fucking in. Although I will say at a certain point, I'm just like, I don't know, man. This might be a little too much John Wick in like a day's worth of time. It was like, all right, after the 97th headshot, I'm like, oh, I think I get it. I think I know what's happening. But no, I agree. I think I really, really enjoyed it. So
the humor's good. It's got good amounts of humor in this one. And I think the core. I mean, This movie's all.
Oh, it's all the fucking as is the case with 1, as is the case with 2. They really just nailed the choreography of everything,
Right.
and I think they still managed to make it interesting in other ways. Like it almost felt like they de-emphasized the gunplay in favor of some other weapons. You know, it was a big, like extended fucking ridiculous ass knife sequence towards the beginning. And then there's other, like, you know, just kind of different types of combat that you see. Like, they did enough that, like, they really, you know, like, the filmmakers were like, well, we can only get away with doing this, you know, the exact same thing so many times. Let's do something a little bit different to give the viewers a little something else, while still giving them enough of what they want to see. Because I mean, it's so immensely satisfying watching, like, just everything. And like any sort of like sequence in the film, just the way it's shot, you know, it lets you just be in the moment, and it's a testament, obviously, to any of the actors and the scene performing, particularly Keanu Reeves, who continues to fucking crush it in this role. But like, you know, Halle Berry gets in on the fun, and like they sell the shit out of the physicality of everything that they do.
Yeah,
and that's because they're fucking doing it pretty much. I mean, they're not killing a bunch of people. Maybe they are. I don't know. Probably not. I saw some B-roll footage. Didn't look like they were dead, so I think they're fine. But like, it's basically as close to the real thing as you can get it, and that allows, you know, the director, that allows the cinematographers to just capture the action and not have to fucking use a bunch of, you know, goofy ass quick cuts to dodge the fact that you don't know what you're doing. You know, like it's
essentially a martial arts movie.
Right, yeah, but with fucking weapons and shit, like, kind of stacked on top of it. Yeah, it's really, really creative how they managed to do it. And again, and do it in a way that still feels interesting to watch. Like, I think that if it wasn't shot in this particular style, I think it would lose so much luster, because it would just feel like everything else. And I think that's what makes the whole franchise in general stand apart from everything else, is because it feels like this elaborate production, I think a martial arts movie is a totally.
I really
great
feel like
comparison.
it's like a westernized martial arts movie.
Yeah, for sure.
About it.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly apt comparison, and so you can appreciate the intricacies of it, and still just kind of just revel in the moment. Like it's so cool.
I still think it's badass to watch Keanu Reeves train for the role. You know, he's out there with SEAL people or whatever, like just not busting down doors, but learning how to breach entries and stuff. It's badass. It's really cool.
No, I love that. Like, dude just fucking commits. Like, that's awesome. I wish. I mean, I will say this about Keanu Reeves: the man doesn't have a lot of acting range.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find him the right kind of role, dude gives it 110% and fucking just owns it. And I think that, like, this is the quintessential, like, Keanu Reeves role. I mean, obviously he's been around for a while. People are going to think of Neo from the Matrix, and for good reason. I think that was also a good fit for his talents to just, you know, act shocked about everything. I'm gonna learn jujitsu. You know, like that. I think that works for him. I think that's the type of role that he thrives in.
Dracula.
Not the role that he thrives in.
Speed,
but a good, you know, Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted is like kind of like
good.
He fucking crushes it in Bill and Ted. But that's like the other mode of Keanu.
He's got
his range is limited. He has some range. I'm not going to say he has no range, but he's pretty much got John Wick on one end of the spectrum, and then you got Bill and Ted on the other end of the spectrum. And then there's not much in between. There's not much on the outskirts of that. But that's totally fine, because John Wick is a movie that utilizes his strengths as an actor, and brings them to the forefront, and has done so since John Wick 1, and continues to do so through Chapter 2, through the third one, through Parabellum, and man, it's just a fucking delight to watch. He's a delight to watch. You know,
he's like I mean, at this point, you have The Matrix, which was the Matrix movies were big deals. Like, I mean, they were big deals when they came out. Mm-hmm. You have you got Bill and Ted. That's a cultural movie. You got Neo, you got the Matrix, you got Bill and Ted, and now you got John Wick. And everybody knows John Wick. I mean, he doesn't play and he doesn't have. I feel like he doesn't have a huge resume, but he's got apparently I think he's got like 92 movies in his resume, or 92 acting credits. I think is what he said during an interview or whatever. So I mean, I guess he does do things, but the things that he's known for are huge projects. I mean, they're huge, renowned projects, I should say. But anyways, yeah, he's great in this role. Ian McShane nails fucking everything he works in.
Good. What's striking to me is like Ian McShane is an actor that I always find to be consistently great until I watched Hellboy. Until I watched Hellboy, and I was just like, he does have a phone it in mode. After all, he is human. After all, but like I even just saw him in the Game of Thrones episode, the one Game of Thrones episode he did. I just watched like yesterday. He was great in that, and then here, as again was the case with the first two John Wicks, such a fucking good role for him. And he's so good in it. He's so good. And you know who else is fucking great in this? Is fucking Lance Reddick. He's like the concierge at the Continental.
Oh, dude, he's a badass.
He's like even more badass in this movie than he was in any of the other ones.
Super
and he was
stoic
he was great in those other ones too. So I loved the cast. I loved even I think most of the new additions to this I think were really great. I liked Halle Berry a lot. Mm-hmm. Would have appreciated seeing more of her. Maybe we'll get more Halle Berry in a future spinoff, something like that. I don't know. I think they're supposed to do like a Continental TV show, so that would be pretty cool. Larry Fishburne came back from Chapter 2, gets a little bit to work with here.
Great.
You know, of course, that's a classic Matrix pairing to have him and Keanu sharing the screen again, which is pretty great.
Who was that? Who was the guy? Who was I don't know if I can talk about set pieces. There's a set piece.
Is it just describe like beginning movie, middle of the movie, end of the movie?
Middle of the movie.
Middle of the movie. Huh.
Spanish speaking place. On the water.
Spanish speaking place on the water.
Halle's there and Keanu Reeves is there.
Oh, Braun?
Yes, that's it. Braun. They mean Braun's in it. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Jerome Flynn's in it for a bit. I think the cast was really quite good. I really liked Mark Dacascos as well. As he was the main assassin that is like the John Wick fanboy. I thought he was great. It's as someone that's watched Iron Chef America, it's sometimes hard to just separate him.
Iron Chef, yeah,
as from his role as the chairman and that. But he's legitimately great. I loved the whole tone and feel of this universe. I loved what they've done with the mythology of the John Wick universe.
The fucking lore. The lore
like the first one seeds just enough to keep you intrigued, like the Continental, like what's this all about? Like there's a secret underworld. And then Chapter 2 really, really built that in like a super meaningful way, a really cool way. I don't think this one does as much legwork as 2 did to outwardly expand the lore, but it doubles down on it, and it really relies on what Chapter 2 created and how it approaches its plotting and approaching its storytelling. And I think it's so cool. I mean, this is a franchise that really just kind of came out of nowhere, and I when it's doubling its box office receipts compared to its predecessor, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not fucking surprised. Like, shit, man. If they made a John Wick 4, like, I could see it making even more money. Like, this seems like a franchise that's just primed to keep going and going and going and just keep making more and more money. As long as Keanu and whoever's game, if the story makes sense for it and such too. So, but I mean, you could make like 30 prequels of John Wick. Like the Baba Yaga, a fucking boogeyman. Yeah. You could run this franchise into the ground very easily. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they get the talented people that are here making this movie have been making these movies 3 times now. Like as long as everyone's kind of involved, as long as Keanu was like, I'm in. Like, yeah, I'm in on all this. Like,
I think he enjoys making them too.
I think he does, yeah. I mean, he talked about the training stuff. I'm like, dude dude puts in the fucking time. Like, I don't think he'd fucking put in that time if he didn't give a shit. So
right.
So yeah, it's really cool. I'm a big fan. I
Set pieces. Just there's a couple really awesome
set pieces are great. Like I said, I think they made a deliberate effort to differentiate a lot of the action sequences from what we'd seen before in the franchise, and so yeah, I think there's probably even more hand-to-hand stuff in this one that we'd never seen in the franchise before, which was cool. I definitely got strong Raid vibes at times. The Raid, which I think there is. I think there's at least a couple cast members that are straight from the Raid franchise as well. So that helped. A couple like guys. Right. So I feel like that helps as well. I mean, generally speaking, cast is great, action's great. I mean, it's
score's good, cinematography.
Score's cool. Cinematography is excellent. I think if I had to say one thing about it, and this isn't a negative thing, it's the way that intonation made it sound like I was gonna actually, it wasn't good because of this. I think John Wick 1 was basically a standalone movie. I think John Wick Chapter 2 definitely built off of John Wick 1, but did enough that just it filled in the gaps if you hadn't seen the first one. This one, it's starting to get to the point where you really need to be familiar with the franchise to some extent. Like, this one surprisingly just builds directly out of the end of Chapter 2, without doing a whole lot to tell you what the fuck's going on. It doesn't go out of its way to like the way even Chapter 2 started was just like 10 minutes of basically recapping the fact that John Wick is the baddest motherfucker in the land, and you don't fuck with this man, 3 fucking men with a fucking pencil, and all that good stuff, all the good John Wick stuff. But this one just hits the ground running, and I think that's cool and all. But I flagged this as a warning for potential viewers of this film. I think to really get the full effect, at a bare minimum, watch Chapter 2. Watch the first one as well. I mean, I don't know why you would. I don't know you'd watch the second one, but not the first one. They're both really fucking good, and they're tight movies. This one's a tight movie as well. Not a lot of fat to it. And it's a big body count, that's for sure. And
I would imagine that if they made a fourth, I would imagine that it would be a cleaner start than the way 2 and 3 began.
I could see that.
To where you have John Wick 1, which you can watch that one if you want. It's essential that you watch number 2 to watch number 3.
2 and 3 really feel interconnected.
Right.
But I see what you're saying. Yeah, we could touch on that in spoilers maybe. Pick up on that thread. But I mean, we can slide over into recommendation if you'd like.
Highly recommend it.
See it in theaters. I mean, without a doubt. It's the type of movie that, I mean, I would have liked to have seen it in Dolby, if nothing else. I mean, I think this definitely would have been a great IMAX movie, too. I don't even know if they released it in the format, to be honest, but...
In IMAX?
Yeah. I'm not...
I think I saw it on the poster.
Did they? Yeah. I think Avengers was eating up a lot of IMAX screens, so there might have been some conflicts with the mouse breathing down, certain cinema chains' necks and stuff like that about it. But either way, see it how you can in theaters. I mean, we both saw it in a regular theater, and we're singing its praises. So clearly that was enough to sell us on the product. But just the way that the technical aspects of the movie are designed, biggest, loudest screen possible, I think is kind of the way to go with something like this. And that's true for John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. I give it 3 out of 3 Parabellums.
Nice.
Yeah. So go see it in theaters. Let's talk some full spoilers for this. Full spoilers for John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum.
Yeah. I'd say it was really cool.
What was really cool?
You get to see where the coins are mint.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just go deeper into the dive of the lore, which was really cool. And I tell you who's really fucking badass are the sushi samurai.
Yeah,
the sushi samurais
I thought they were great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that, like, the whole world of John Wick is fascinating to me now, like the way that they've kind of built the world, in the sense that like who in this world is not an assassin, and like there's obviously people that are just totally detached from this, but like I don't know, they do some pretty egregious things in pretty like plain sight. Like how much of the world like is aware of like the high table of the Continental? Like, are people like, is it just kind of hyper realized world where people know it? They're like, oh, that's not part of it, but we get it. We respect the rules or whatever. Or is it like intended to be like this secret society type thing? That's not very great about keeping their secrets, but for some reason still manages to keep their secrets. I don't think about it too much because I love the lore of it. I think the Continental stuff is great.
They were fucking sloshing down people in the middle of the fucking subway station or whatever.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like like they're getting pretty brazen about it, or maybe just because of the plot of this movie, like people are breaking all the rules, like the unwritten rules of being like, hey, don't fucking assassinate people in the middle of a fucking subway, because hey, there's going to be a lot of people on there that are going to be like, hey, what the fuck is that? What's going on over here? I don't know, but it's interesting. I like that this movie just fucking goes for it from the beginning, like, and it's just so badass. Like I said, the excommunicado stuff at the beginning, and just the way that it builds up. I think maybe I don't think it's so much the lore that it builds on. I mean, obviously what you talk about is definitely true, but I think it fleshes out more of the John Wick character than we'd ever seen before.
That's true.
With like his connection to the Russian, I don't know who they are. The Russian group that he basically turns to seek passage out of the country to escape the $14 million bounty. So.
The dogs?
The dogs.
Dogs?
I was trying to run through the plot in my head.
Yeah.
The fucking dogs. The dogs finally get their fucking due in this movie.
Man.
And say no dogs getting killed by Theon Greyjoy, bitches. That was badass. I love the way that they shot all that too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like the dogs are basically just
Super
fucking biting nuts off the entire time.
And it was awesome though. It
was cool.
The dogs would take them to the ground. Mm-hmm. She'd execute them and then move on to the next ones.
Yeah,
like she was
great.
Super proficient with the use of those two German shepherds. It was
I think
ridiculous.
She's done it before. She's trained her dogs to bite people's balls off. That's that's not bad. It's not bad at all.
That one ran up the goddamn wall off her back.
That was badass. I just love the way that like it's like you think about it, like you can train people to for the choreography, and I'm sure there's a lot of prep that goes into it, and it looks great when you get everything done in the final product. But they fucking train those dogs, and like those dogs fucking nailed it. I mean, those dogs.
They're probably fucking canine dogs.
I'm sure they're highly trained dogs, but like I guess I was just surprised at like how seamless it felt just incorporating them into the sequences. Like it really just didn't feel like they missed a beat from previous movies, with all the choreography and then bringing that in.
A lot of that's the fucking cinematography though, too, the way
that's what I like is like it's just like it just kind of just swings around, like just kind of like, oh, the action's up here, and then instead of cutting like 7 times and then the action starts again, it's just like, oh no, the action's moving down here, so we'll just fucking pan. We'll pan the camera, like, oh god,
fucking giant ass one shot.
Who thought of panning the camera? I mean, Jesus, are you allowed to do that anymore? It's like I think it's really cool how they managed to pull this off.
What about Ian McShane fucking betraying John Wick there at the end? That fuck.
So that's certainly a thing. I am curious about it because it's like one of those things where, like, with the tumble that John Wick took, I wouldn't think that he would expect him to survive that per se, but I think that he doesn't seem too surprised that John Wick survived. So like it did, like at first I was like, oh, this is a preordained kind of thing, and trying to make it look for show. But I'm like, no, he fucking pushed him out a whole building. Like
off the fucking roof.
Yeah, so I feel like it was. I feel like within the universe, like John Wick will get it. He'll be like,
well, and then John Wick said he was pissed too, though. I mean, he sticks up his middle finger and says, "Fuck these people."
Yeah, well, sort of, but I think I think John Wick can maybe see it as a power move for Winston to restabilize his position with the Continental, and if he wanted to turn his sights towards the High Table, I still think that John Wick would have an ally with Winston. I think Winston would still, if the move was savvy enough. I don't know. I just don't see it as like now these guys are mortal enemies or anything like that. I think that John Wick's going to be a little salty about it, as one would expect him to be, but I don't see it as something that like fundamentally breaks the relationship those two have had. I'm glad that they didn't go in the direction like, because there's the whole weird thing with like John Wick in the fucking desert, and then meeting the guy in the desert and chopping his fucking finger off and shit.
Yeah,
which is pretty hardcore.
Like
as a side note. But then, he agrees to, fucking kill Winston and shit, and I was just like, I don't think I want to see that. And so I think there's probably a bit of that just bleeding into my thoughts. It's just like, I think Winston and John Wick just work so well together, even if there is, a little testiness to the relationship. Now, the fact that he just fucking pushed him off a building and shit, I think that there's still something between those two characters, and I think that's why John Wick, pretty much immediately, as soon as Winston calls him on his shit, he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to kill you. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So I mean,
the fucking body armor. Do we want to move on to that?
Yes, I say I'm trying to bounce around. I was just trying to think of I loved the variety and everything that they did, and I loved the body armor as the twist on the regular John Wick sequences of just the two to the chest, one to the head type thing, and then I was like, oh fuck, that doesn't work anymore. It felt like
to put them down and then put bullets point blank in the back of the neck.
Yeah, it felt like a video. It felt like a video game where there's the 7 foot tall enemy that comes in that's just a bullet sponge for no fucking reason. But it was a clever way of dealing with the fact that John Wick just fucking at every turn clowns every person in the room, and
doesn't matter.
It was. Well, as it turned out, obviously, it didn't matter, but it still he had to expend a few more bullets than I think he would have liked. So it had a little bit of an impact on him.
Run in there and grab those fucking shotguns. The whole theater,
that whole thing where they're just going ham, and then they're just like, shit, we need more guns. So they had to go back twice and just fucking get more guns. I thought for sure that Sharon, the concierge, I thought he was totally going to bite it.
Oh yeah, me too. I did.
And then he made it to the end. I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's awesome."
He's a badass. I guess there's a reason why he's the fucking guy there.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a badass, and he's a good caretaker of dogs as well, which gotta respect.
In exchange, just fucking sitting in the fucking safe room, drinking his wine.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad plan. It seemed to work out pretty well for him.
You have the super campy fight up in the glass room with the two guys and stuff, and all hand-to-hand combat, and he lets them live, but he doesn't let the leader live. He fucking rams a sword through him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had to at that point,
Yeah, I'll see you later. No, you won't.
John Wick, Baba Yaga.
It's so good. Good movie.
Yeah,
man.
It's really cool. Like said, I mean, the horse stuff, and I think that was towards the beginning. Was just fucking cool.
Rad,
the motorcycle stuff it's just everything. It's like they know how to just keep us getting more and more excited about it. They're you thought that was cool? Have a look at this. Have a look at this. Yeah, and that really does feel like. You'd think that that would make it feel increasingly more it feels in a way like Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Where it's just here's the most ridiculous shit. We're gonna try this on for size. But it works.
But it's super grounded. It's not grounded, but it's it's all practical.
Right, I think that's the difference between this and the Fast and Furious is totally speaking, it's just well, this is fucking totally bonkers or whatever in the way that Fast and Furious is. But the difference is it's just Keanu Reeves on a fucking horse now, fucking clowning people as opposed to like a car driving out of the side of a skyscraper into the skyscraper nearby, or them collapsing a submarine. Like the ridiculousness is there, but it's like you said, it's still grounded because they still have to find a way to like still practically shoot it. So I think that's what limits it, and I think that's what makes it work so well, is like, well, what if we did this? And then they spend probably a couple weeks and they're just like, well, how the fuck would we do that? And then they figure it out. Like, they hammer it out and they're just like, we're gonna fucking do it. And so then they do it, and like that's how you arrive at this movie. And then I'm sure that they write a plot to kind of tie everything together here and there. But it works. It works. I mean,
yeah.
There's a beautiful simplicity to the entire franchise to this point. But there's still enough elegance to everything they do beyond just the technicalities of it. I think, just generally speaking, what they do is it's fucking cool. It's
real
cool.
cool.
It's a cool ass franchise. It's a cool ass movie. It's a cool ass addition. They continue to step the game up overall. I would have liked to seen more additions to the lore myself. I felt like Chapter 2 kind of really nailed on that front. This one, I mean, it really did feel like the back half of the storyline set up in Chapter 2. Like, Chapter 2 set up a lot of interesting things. This is kind of the payoff to a lot of those things, and taken together as one kind of extended story. It's really cool.
Right.
So I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the John Wick franchise. I am surprised. I don't know why I had this idea walking in. I guess just because trilogies are usually a thing. I fully expected this to be the last John Wick when I walked into the cinema. Like, I thought there was going to be some sort of sense of finality to it, and there was not at all. No. It very much just set the stage for like, more shit's a coming, fool. And I was kind of surprised by that. Like, every time I had a chance to kind of wind down, it didn't. It very much went in the other direction. Like, I thought for sure at some point, like, oh, fucking high tables going down at this point. Like they're really gonna fucking shake up the game or something like that. But it seems like they're leaving that for potential future installments, which I think it's cool. I mean, I think, again, as long as the parties that are responsible for this movie continue to be involved in the process, like, there's no reason this franchise can't keep going. I mean, at a certain point, maybe it gets a little too over the top. Maybe it becomes literally Fast and Furious 8 and such, but until
I'm eagerly waiting for Chapter 4.
It's early enough in the point, it's early enough in the franchise that I don't think you're at that point yet by any stretch of the imagination, and there's still a lot of story material to be mined with the high table. And I mean, John Wick's story ain't over yet. He's a man on a mission, and maybe he's even more pissed than ever. I don't know. So, I guess we'll just have to wait until May 21st, 2021 to see John Wick Chapter 4.
What?
That's right. It's been officially announced.
Probably in one of our news. Wasn't it in our news before, though?
That has never been in our news. It was announced
shit.
only a couple days ago. I could have put it in the news earlier in the episode, but I figured it'd be somewhat of a spoiler for John Wick, so I figured I'd hold back on it. But less than 2 years away now. So
very nice.
Quick turnaround for Chapter 4. Obviously, with how the box office has been doing, no surprises that they would continue it with the way the story proceeded. Clearly setting the stage for more. He's teaming up with fucking Lawrence Fishburne, who somehow managed to survive getting cut 7 times or whatever.
With the fucking sword? Yeah.
I guess he didn't get stuck with the pointy end and anything too essential to human life. So good for him, though. Good for him. Or maybe he went down like a fucking
boss in this one. In this one, he went down like a boss. Mm-hmm. Just fucking let his bird go and just got slashed up. Left for dead. Yeah. But he's living in the fucking sewers because this is fucking New York.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, a quick shout out to Philadelphia 76ers center Boban Marjanovic making a cameo appearance as the assassin in the library at the beginning that gets fucking his jaw dislodged by a fucking book. I don't know if you were bobbing your head through this bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was brutal. That was a super brutal fight there in the beginning. It's like, oh, okay, I know what I'm watching now.
It was
talk about that.
I saw it with Henry, and we kind of instantly had the reaction of just like, what the fuck's going on when we, saw the basketball player from the local team just fucking beating assassin in John Wick. No big deal. It's not bad.
It was definitely a Raid-esque scene. That was.
Yeah,
It was
for sure.
Quite brutal.
So I think that might be it.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I think that might be it. I feel like I've just been rambling for like an hour straight about John Wick. Like, it's just the coolest shit ever, man.
It's cool.
It's just so cool. I liked it a lot. I don't know exactly where I would place it in the echelon of the John Wick franchise, because I think they're all pretty much neck and neck with each other in terms of quality. I think I might like John Wick Chapter 2 a hair above this one. But I've only seen it the once, and it's been like a week since I've seen it now, to be fair. So I'll give it some time to settle in. It's definitely a day one purchase for me in terms of Blu-ray. If I get a chance, I might try to see it again in theaters. But there's a lot of stuff coming out, and I just don't have all the time in the world. I've got plenty of Game of Thrones to watch. I've got plenty of other things I'd like to watch as well. So yeah. It hasn't been a whole long since we recorded last, but I'll ask you nonetheless. Have you been up to anything recently you want to talk about? I know we talked about S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't know if you had a chance to check it out yet.
No, I didn't end up watching that.
Me either. It's on the list still. I would like to I guess there's probably 3 episodes now that have aired from the newest season, so that's definitely something I'd like to get around to. But maybe for next episode, maybe.
I think I've watched a couple more episodes of that Love, Sex, and Robots movie or whatever it is.
Oh, the Netflix one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
pretty nifty.
It's there's some cool episodes. There's episodes I don't care about, but such is life.
C'est la vie. What about This Is Us? Any more This Is Us?
Yeah, I watched an episode last night or the night before or whatever, and lo and behold, it was really fucking good. Every episode's consistently really good with that show. I don't know. I really like it. A little bit. I don't know if it's a chick flick kind of deal or just a drama or what, but it's definitely hitting a lot of emotional notes consistently. Every episode's an emotional fucking roller coaster. Every single one. And not even a roller coaster. It's just like it's well acted. It's well written. It's probably well written. The written part is the strongest point.
Yeah, I know it reviews pretty well. So I mean, I don't know that it's it's not like, I don't think it's like schlocky stuff. I think it's actually legitimately well regarded.
It's legitimately good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched an episode with that. I'm slowly working my way through the season. You know me, I grind through shit, but I'm having to watch this one and just because we're trying to watch together. So
I know, very romantic. I understand.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not very romantic because I'm like constantly every episode I'm fucking sobbing on the corner of the couch,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely really good. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
If you can catch an episode, whenever. But I guarantee you, after you watch the pilot, you'll be fucking hooked and you'll want to watch more of it. But yeah, that's all I got. What about you, man?
Just one thing I want to shout out: a TV show by the name of Young Justice. Which I am watching through the DC Universe streaming service. Originally aired, I think, on Cartoon Network back in like 2010, if I had to guess. So it's like it's kind of like Teen Titans, but not quite. I mean, it's basically, it's got the full Justice League in it for part of it, but basically they've agreed to take on a collection of characters to be this Young Justice team, and it's basically comprised of mostly like sidekicks and stuff like that. So it's got Robin, I think the Dick Grayson Robin, Aqualad, Kid Flash, Wally West, Superboy, McGann, which is like Miss Martian basically, and then Artemis, who's like a Green Arrow esque character, Archer. But it's really good. I'm like shocked at how fucking good it is.
Wow.
I know that like I've heard really good things about it. I know they revived it recently for its third season. It got canceled many years back, and then it just got revived for the DC platform. But I'd heard really good things about it, and I'm like I said, the writing in it is stellar.
Wow.
I mean,
high praise.
It's not. I mean, it is a kid's show, I guess. I mean, obviously, it aired on Cartoon Network or whatever, but it really feels like it fundamentally understands its characters, and it goes out of its way to have like episodes dedicated to each character and build the world in like a really, really meaningful way. Like, and there's still like some sort of overarching plot that has yet to be kind of fully brought to light. I think I'm through 11 of, I think 22 or 23 in the first season. It's clear that the people here, I have no idea who fucking the showrunners are on this, but like they had their shit together. At least through 11 episodes. I'm really stunned with it. It's the problem is at any time that I tell myself, I need to catch up on Game of Thrones, I got to catch up on Game of Thrones, and I'm just like, I'm going to watch the thing I want to watch instead. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. So I'm trying to strike a healthy balance and get through both of them in a timely manner.
I'll have to get your login info for
the DC stuff.
Universe.
Yeah, for sure.
Is Swamp Thing out yet?
Pretty soon. I think next month or the month after that. So coming up quick. But that's it.
Because we didn't talk about it, but they released did they just release the full picture of them, or was it a new trailer?
There was a full trailer that we talked about, but you didn't watch when we talked about it. So that's probably why you don't remember talking about it.
Because I didn't watch it?
That's right.
Why didn't I watch it?
I think you were pretty drunk.
Oh, okay.
That was the first half of our Avengers coverage, the non-spoilers coverage, when you mentioned on the air multiple times that you were a little inebriated, which I think might have been true. It might have been true. It might have been a true statement.
Yeah, that's pretty.
So
I'll have to watch it.
You can watch it. You can listen back to our coverage if you don't recall it. But that's it for me. I think we said it hasn't been that long since we recorded last, so quick turnaround means less opportunity for me to watch new and exciting things. But I have seen some new and exciting things, and there you have it. So, on that note, I want to say thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you want to support us on Patreon, that is entirely up to you. It'll be helpful if you want to get some early access to all of the episodes that we have coming up in the future, of which we have quite a few lined up as we play catch-up and try to get back to a little bit of normalcy with our release schedule. So if you want to head to our website, watchreviewrepeat.com, you can click the premium tab in the top left and then click the become a patron button to subscribe to our Patreon. It's $2 a month, and you will also get access to any future bonus episodes, including some of the Game of Thrones ones when they do go up, and then whatever we end up doing for our bonus episodes after that. We've got a little ways. We got some time to think about that, so no worries on that front. But it's cool content if you're into that sort of thing. You can follow us on Twitter at WRRPod. Like us on Facebook at Watch Review Repeat. Questions, comments, or suggestions may be directed to our Gmail account, which is watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And our next episode will be on Guy Ritchie's Aladdin.
Prince Ali,
which has made its way into theaters as of recording this today. So it's something on our schedule that we'll get around to. I know the reviews in it have been largely mixed, which is better than I would have expected. So I'm curious about it. I am really curious about it. I mean, between the horrifying Will Smith genie and really just most everything we've seen in the marketing so far, I'm expecting bad, and if I get anything better than bad, I think that's a win.
That is a win.
I think that's
Absolutely.
an absolute win. So look forward to our coverage of Aladdin. hopefully within the next week or so, if I had to guesstimate. So until then, we say
take care now. Bye bye then.
Laters on the Menge.